The way that people treat you is a reflection of who they are and not of your worth. Realizing this is what helped me not only detach from unavailable people, but actually fill my life up with people who do treat me the way that I want to be treated. When someone mistreats you or fails to show up for you, it's not about you. So first, context is important, right? So of course there are going to be more single instance or one-off examples of this. Like if you're having a bad day, maybe you didn't sleep well, or you're just feeling hangry, like all of these things can cause you to act differently towards someone than you normally would. These are more reflections of emotional state, right? And sometimes even your values or the way that you're brought up can get reflected in your responses to people too. And so if you flip that around, and if somebody else treats you in a way that is inconsistent with the way that you want to be treated, then you can safely assume that none of those things have anything to do with you, right? Okay, so but if we're talking more like in relationships where there's this ongoing pattern of not being treated the way that you deserve, I know it can be so easy to think that it's somehow your fault, or that there's something you can or should be doing to earn better treatment from this person. Thinking, that you're not good enough to deserve that just by being who you are. I've been there too, and I've had my fair share of heartbreak. If it's true though that I wasn't good enough to deserve a loving relationship, then I wouldn't be here now in a relationship that feels safe, loving, and reciprocal. Granted, I did put a lot of work on my end to raise my self-worth, which I'll talk to you about later, and ways which you can do that. But I had to put a lot of work in myself in order to be able to walk away from misaligned situations, to speak my needs, and also to set boundaries. I would say that one of the most important steps to raising your self-worth is realizing that in relationship, the way a person treats you is a direct reflection of how they treat themselves. So just 2 years ago, I was in what I thought was a committed, serious relationship for almost a year. And then I suddenly found out that this person was in another relationship for 7 months of that year. I had no idea. I was completely blindsided, and I only found out because the other woman, who was equally as oblivious, pieced it together and went Sherlock Holmes mode, found me online, called my office line to confirm that this was true. And we talked on the phone for almost an hour. Like my stomach dropped and I was just totally in shock trying to take all of this in. And I remember this moment where I was very clearly dissociated from my body, kind of like watching all of this happen from above. And the phone conversation went a little quiet, and I remember hearing this very clear, distinct voice of my higher self say to me, "This is not about you." And that sage advice is something that I held very close to my heart in that devastating aftermath, through immediately ending the relationship, through him just vanishing into thin air without as much as an apology, and through having to pick myself back up after all of that. As an intuitive and highly self-aware woman, I just kept thinking to myself, how did I not see this? How did this happen? What did I do wrong? And my mind wanted to blame me for what had happened and trying to make sense of all of this. And I could literally feel myself teetering on the edge of letting it destroy my self-worth. I sat myself down and said to myself, I have done way too much work on myself to let this person destroy me and bring me down. And so what that looked like in practice was it took me weeks of every moment that I possibly could, that I was aware of my thoughts wanting to go in that direction of victimhood and blaming and letting myself give my power away. It took weeks of consciously choosing every moment, constantly reminding myself that this is not about me. Letting myself feel all of my feelings of pain and grief and loss and anger and just letting myself feel all those things, yet not giving into any low self-worth beliefs. And it was a slow process, a difficult one, a painful one, and a few months later, my heart was healed and I had moved on. So I share this with you because I really want to just emphasize that what healed my heart and gave me closure was understanding that he was acting out of his trauma. And though it doesn't excuse his behavior, it helped me come to peace for my own sake to know that, and choosing to believe that if he was actually capable, if he had the capacity to really choose me, then he would have. And I still believe that today. So in this situation, his actions were a reflection of his trauma, his upbringing, his emotions, his stuff. And while the experience also had a lot of lessons in it for me too, I was able to really heal by being very conscious and mindful about only taking that silver lining with me and not giving him the power to destroy me in the process. It was way more about his lack of capacity than it ever was about my worth. And I had to consciously think that, and in order for me to believe that and process all of the feelings around that. What I'll say is that when you stop giving the other person so much power over your emotions, the way that you view yourself, your beliefs, your thoughts, and even your actions, what you're doing is giving yourself permission and power to let go. When someone leaves or is doing something that should make you want to leave, and then your response is to reach out with your energy to try to grab onto what is not yours, like his emotions, his trauma, his values, his experience, and then try to make it about you, what you're doing is you're tethering your energy to them and letting them run away with it. So what results is this push and pull dynamic of like, I want to pull them back in, and I'm latching on to the things that are not actually mine to do that. And it's coming from a place of fear and pain, and it only creates more of that. So while yes, it is so painful to let go, I think it's more painful to stay in a situation that's going to hurt you again and again, unless you find the strength and courage to either leave or set some really strong and clear boundaries. You are free when you understand this concept that it's not about you. And the more that you try to make it about you, the more power you literally give away to the other person. You deserve better, my love. So take back your power, start letting go, forgive if you want to, see the situation for really what it was, and you will set yourself free. If this was helpful for you, please like, comment, subscribe, and share with a loved one. Until next time.